Very, very happy to have with us House GOP Conference Chair Representative Elise Stefanik, one of our heroes in Congress, by the way. And Congresswoman, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Alan.
And I know we're going to talk about the Kamala's trip to the border, but I just want to say one of the things we talked about just before we went on the air. You and I agree on probably a lot of things, but one of the most important things is this is the most important election of our lifetime. This is something I've heard since I was a kid, back in the 50s. But I tell you, this is in fact the most important election of our lifetime, and I think most people understand that.
You are spot on, Alan, and I'll tell you, whether I am all over my district in upstate New York or all across the country, including Nevada, which I was there a few weeks ago, people really understand that this election, so much is at stake, and it is the most important election in our lifetime. Whether we continue down this path towards socialism, failed far-left radical Democrat policies that are crushing the American people and looking around the world, making the world less safe. Look at the catastrophic foreign policy. So it's all on the line. People understand that. That's just why I think you see such an enthusiasm advantage for voters supporting President Trump, because we know it's the American people that are going to save our country.
But we've got to get out and vote. I mean, everything you said is 100% correct. But if people don't vote, I mean, we've had a situation in the past in Nevada where people did not get out and vote. You've got to get out and vote if you want to make those changes. So today, I understand Kamala's going to the border. And, this is... I'm so cynical about this whole thing because I think what she's doing is a very cynical ploy to try to show that how in touch she is with the border. She and Joe Biden created the crisis that we see going on right now in Cochise County, where she's going to be.
Of course. She is the open borders are for Joe Biden. The executive actions that the Biden-Harris administration took on day one created this catastrophic border crisis. So for her to go to the border at this point to say that somehow she's going to secure the border, it is absolutely offensive to the American people. It's offensive to the Border Patrol, who they have turned their backs on. It is because of their policies that every state is a border state, every community is a border community. And I will tell you, I represent, maybe most people don't realize this, but on the northern border, we've also had a skyrocketing of illegals crossing our northern border, including last year was the highest number of illegal crossings ever. And our Border Patrol officers are being absolutely run thin, whether it's on the northern border or the southern border. We know that the only way we're going to secure the border is by electing President Trump, who had the most secure border in our nation's history. Right. And what Kamala Harris is going to say with talking points, which shows me that they're panicked in the polling, that they now have to send her to the border because the American people are smart. They know that she created this border crisis. House Republicans passed the Secure the Border Act. It is the most significant border security bill, and it returns to the effective policies of President Trump. And yet Democrats like Chuck Schumer failed to bring that up in the Senate, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were going to veto that. It's offensive to the American people that she's desperately going to the border to try to cover up her failed record.
The only good thing about her being in Cochise County, as I understand it, is that she'll see that half the wall was never completed in that area, and that's a result of her efforts and Joe Biden's efforts. So, I mean, what she sees there, she's helped create. Something else I want to bring up quickly also, every election season, you have the presidential candidates appearing at the Al Smith dinner. It's been a time ever since Kennedy and Nixon to get together and have a little bit of comity. And she decided to skip it this year, and people are very disappointed in it. But, I understand that she's got issues, and going before a lot of Catholics with her attitude toward abortion and other issues might not be too comfortable for her.
Well, it is very disappointing. Here you have a candidate she talks about coming together, yet the most historic dinner, I would argue, in the presidential election cycle is the Al Smith dinner, and she has turned her back on that. She's turning her back on Catholics. This is a historic Catholic charity where both parties come together, and yet the Harris campaign thinks that it is unimportant to her. Well, I'll tell you, voters have a different perspective, and New Yorkers have a different perspective. Let's not forget, Alan, that we flipped those 5 districts in New York State that delivered the House Republican majority. And it is an example of it's no longer Democrats are they assume that they're going to get certain voters. That's no longer the case. We are independence, and it's a sense of entitlement for her to refuse to attend that dinner. Again, it's a very important dinner, and I know that people are watching and they're paying attention that Kamala Harris is not a uniter. She is a divider. She is the vice president for the most divisive politics and divisive administration in modern history.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely the case. Listen, we're at the end of this, and I appreciate you taking your time. I know you're very busy to chat with us here in Nevada, but please keep up the great work that you're doing on behalf of America and freedom even around the world. Thank you very, very much, and I know we'll talk again.
Thank you, Al.